Welcome back to another episode of The 12, our epic campaign of discovery and adventure across the continent of Corvair. This story will stream live Sundays around 6 p.m. Central here on Javelin Entertainment, and if you missed the last session, you can check it out on the channel page or by clicking the link down in the description.
Last time, our daring adventurers plunged into the depths of Starmantle Citadel, uncovering a hidden basement teeming with arcane experiments, mysterious laboratories, and an impenetrable door. But no door stands in the way of determination and violence. Beyond its secrets, beyond imagination, in this strange demi-plane, came face to face with strange cells that lied empty, experimental arcane artifacts that lined the walls, and windows that looked out into a planar void. Here in this demi-plane, they saw or heard a chilling metallic voice, and another monstrous Warforged Titan emerged. The enigmatic Jasira had been watching, waiting, and baiting them into another confrontation, and given the choice between offering up this transference or saving his friends, Boko chose battle, but at what cost? Meanwhile, in the chaos, the Theschault, hidden in the grease fire, played a deadly game of cat and mouse. Rhea, battered but unbowed, fought to find cover, and high above Jasira delivered a thunderous blow, disabling the Titan's arm. And when Boko arrived, his torrent of acid unleashed towards the Titan's chest revealed an arcane heart much like his own. The battlefield became a maelstrom when the Titan accidentally clambered into a lightning pot trap, and it exploded, windows shattering around it in a gravity well threatening to pull our heroes out into the abyss. But even in the darkest hour, hope burned bright. Clyde's magic forced the Titan to reveal its crystal core, Greystorm's telekinesis held it in place, and Boko, hanging by a thread, clutched the prize just in time. As the Titan drifted into the void, a ghostly whisper echoed, "Goodbye, brother." What does this mean for Boko? Will he be able to track down Zero before he escapes? Now that our heroes have found what they are looking for, can they make it back alive? Let's tune in and find out.
So much to many surprise, you all have come face to face with your dead friend, Boko. Very climactically coming down from the ceiling in this large circular chamber, he had joined you all for the fight, despite his body still being within the bag of holding. You all see some traits of this mechanical nature much more present, not having the full skin-like layer on the surface. However, he does not have the wooden fused limbs that he had before. All limbs seem to be intact and as they were intended. There's still this large broken part of the room that has been now covered by these metallic safety shields, and you all have returned back to some semblance of normalcy with the Titan gone. But Boko, those words still echo in the back of your mind here. What would you all like to do?
Well, I for one want to figure out why he's not in the box. So, hey, buddy, how'd you get out of the bag?
What bag do you mean?
Roland will kind of like snap his fingers and motion to whoever has the bag, like, bring it here, bring it here.
Boko unstraps the bag from his side and hands it to Roland.
Austin, you're coming in double, just so you know.
Oh,
you're good.
But
After we saw you were in there.
and I'm going to reach into the bag and pull out Boko.
Which half of Boko?
asking the important questions.
Let's see. What would Boko's mind or his ass first pop into Roland's head?
Damn.
Beat the top
Roland,
half.
Where's your handhold? Joke's on you, that part comes off.
Fully modular.
As Boko sees this body sort of come out, let's say, that is Very interesting. I believe I may be able to find a use for this.
Of course you will.
I think there is some explaining that perhaps needs to be done.
I think that would be wise.
There's a lot of explaining that needs to be done.
Roland, do you remember the man we saw? The figure who breathed fire of dragons?
Yes. Do we see him, or...
Boko believes this to be the source.
Okay.
You guys had never seen it.
Yes, I've heard you speak of him.
He was a teacher to me. He taught me to call upon the spirits. And it is unclear how separate he and I are. But he was here. And Boko will gesture towards the room.
And you all see there's kind of an open hatch, but it's 30, 40 feet up into the ceiling. But you do know that there was an unexplored hallway that looks roughly on the same level, back up the stairs where you had come from.
Wait, so are you from the future?
I am still figuring that out. But it will be easier if I can show you.
Please do.
Follow me. Boko will try to lead them to the room.
And Boko, that arcane crystal in your hands, it's like softly pulsing ever so slightly.
Yes.
As you kind of... Yep.
Is the star shard still in Boko's bag?
Yes.
As they're sort of walking, Boko will reach into his pouch and pull out the star shard.
You compare the star shard to the arcane crystal that you have. The star shard it's like looking at something that is like early versions of lab manufactured diamonds, where there are just numerous small but visible incontinuities in the form, where the star shard is pure, but it has a much more jagged outward appearance, much more crystalline, whereas the arcane crystal actually has been smoothed down and is almost a perfect sphere. But the color, the material seems to be almost identical.
When they get to the room, there are still 13 tables here, right?
So as you guys come up this big staircase, kind of turn back through the hallway, Boko leads you down to a doorway. And opening up this doorway, you see a large laboratory space. And kind of one central table up in the middle that is kind of elevated, and you can see it stained with crimson. You can see around multiple surgical tools lying on tables, multiple strange arcane lights positioned at weird angles. And around the edge of the room, there is about a half dozen of these other metal tables. Forward on the far end of the room, there's kind of two stairs that lead up, and you can see this glass wall, and behind it you see some sort of desk or observation platform. And beyond it, another door.
Boko is gonna walk over to where he was lying, but he's also holding this constructed arcane crystal and seeing if it resonates with any space or if he recognizes what bed it belongs to.
Boko, give me a investigation check or a medicine check, your choice. As you look around this space, you've been in it for a long time, but you know that there is another space that had come up in your memories. That place where you were actually resting, residing, bits and glimpses of these different chambers. Here, this space seems to be operating, repair, maintenance, construction, surgery, but it doesn't seem to be where things are stored. A lot of the beds on the side are to support where there needs to be multiple operations going on at once, but the main table is clearly has more functionality and more capability to it, and that's why you were kept and operated on there. But your crystal doesn't seem to resonate, especially with anything in this space. And that's likely because this space is not where you or the others were kept.
Is there more to be explored here?
You see in this space and kind of wandering around, there are tons of weird surgical materials, but the value is relatively minimal unless you're going to be trying to create these synthetic humanoid warforged. But as you get up towards the top, and you find this kind of observation platform, that space that you had seen kind of Zero and this other small form discussing back and forth, there are papers and books and journals kind of tossed and laying out every which way. There are dozens of pieces of information scrawled in shorthand, notes taken on. This looks like it was once probably a laboratory, and it probably wasn't even clean then, but now it has just been tossed through, searched through, examined. And you kind of look through, and while there is a lot of information here, a lot of valuable information, a study of organics and the body and mentality, you imagine that the true breakthroughs around the transference that Zero was talking about, he likely took with him. However, with that investigation check, you do find a book kind of resting off to the side. And you kind of begin to flick through it for a moment. And it's only after you get a bit of understanding that you realize what this is. This is a tome of clear thought.
Boko is going to see if there's a name written within.
Give me a perception check, I think, for this one. Because there's no name in it. What you find instead are these notes along the margins, these pieces of shorthand that are added, and you map them. You see the similarities in handwriting to numerous notes. Not everything here, but a good bit of the notes and journals are all in this same hand. A hand that you recognize, that you had seen as it was writing some of these notes. This is this is certainly written by Zobek. And you imagine that some of these that aren't in his hand were written by the other scientists and engineers that worked on this project.
Roland is just going through, and as Boko has like moved over stuff, and it's just like, not what I'm looking for, not what I'm looking for, not what I'm looking for. Ooh, tome. Roland is just going along behind him and just like everything in the bag.
Take all the books and everything over here.
We're bringing it all home.
Ray is trying to get Roland's attention and pulling the edge of his cloak, being like, hey, you should look at the book I found. Hey, I found a book. Hey, you should look at the book I found.
Roland, as you
For
find
like the third attempt after he's just like scooped everything in, just like, what book?
I have a book too.
Just the Dwight.
It's in Clyde's bag. I'll go get it real quick.
As Clyde carefully pulls out this other journal, and Rhea, you hand it over to Roland. Roland, you watch as Rhea kind of carefully opens it up and points, and you see where the notes on this clean rot disease are noted. The missing book from the library had been found downstairs.
Excellent.
And I will say, Roland, from last time, something that you Jasira had kind of handed over to you and had found was this cloak. It's like a dark blue cloak with this golden lining that had been found in one of the displays in one of the labs.
In pristine condition?
Indeed.
Indicating magical?
Indeed.
Excellent.
I think before Boko continues with his explanation, kind of in this daze walking around this laboratory, is going to find a spot to set the crafted crystal that was pulled from the Titan.
Well, all the tables are clear now.
And Boko's going to set this crystal down and very, very gingerly take the star shard, reach out and touch the star shard to the crystal and see if they interact.
There's
like 30 to 40 feet away.
There's like a small bit of resonance, like this bit of magical energy that is not quite transferring, but touching. It's like putting two batteries together. If you could see that electron transfer, there is the movement of energy there. There is the recognition of these items to one another, but they don't seem to be... There's certainly nothing explosive about the nature. They don't seem to be developing anything, but they do seem to be loosely connected when in proximity.
Boko's going to tuck them both away. And then he's going to turn to the others. And he's going to say, "This, I have recently learned, is my home. The creature who was controlling the Titan, and I imagine all of the other Warforged, is a man who once lived before the mist. A man whose name is Alexander."
The world's gonna know his name?
I do not know how much we are connected, but it seems that our minds have been entwined for so long that it is impossible to find where one ends and the other begins.
So you're really Boko from the past, not Boko from the future?
Yes. Which warrants another explanation. I had always known that I was dead, but I did not know at what capacity. As you can see, my form is that of metal and flesh. I am a creation of this man, Alexander. A prototype in his quest to find perfection. And in that quest, he created 13 weapons, of which I am the most recent.
I'm really hoping that they got stronger with each iteration.
I do not think he believes that to be true. He is a very dangerous creature. And unfortunately, in all of his intelligence, he cannot be reasoned with. And the whole time Boko is talking about this, he's wondering how much he's talking about himself as well, and what personality traits he's describing that are more his than Zero's.
And Boko, as you're kind of talking through this, you see back behind where this observation deck is, where the desk is and the books are, you see that door that Zero had left through, still a little bit ajar.
Boko to the others and he says, Zero has created many of us, but it appears that I am the first to be able to defy him. And thus he has left me with all of you. And he points towards the door. Just as the Titan had appeared for all of you, he had left through that door, leaving me to come to your aid.
So wait, was the Titan like number 12 or 11 or like what's going on?
I do not know the specifics, but it appears that this crystal, he gestures towards the crafted crystal, is the heart of one of the others. I hope that means there are only 11 that remain.
So are we gonna just collect all the crystals?
I think it would be wise. But it is important to know all of these crystals were created from someone. We are all weapons created by Zero. He uses us for assassinations and I don't even know. But we have lived impossibly long. And I am sorry for bringing all of you into this.
I mean, your apologies accepted in my book, dude. I'm just glad you're back.
Boko looks down at the arms that he hasn't seen in many years.
You all looking at Boko, he looks different. Not substantially, not in appearance, but the fact that you can see some of the metallic components is a bit unnerving. And resting within his chest is that arcane crystal, similar to the one that you had pulled from the Titan. And even his eyes have a bit of a different shine to them. And Boko, as you start to get used to them, you now have in your journal, if I can find your name here, what are you listed as? Oh, are you not in? There it is, 13th weapon. Okay. So you should have the arcane eyes and the arcane heart now in your journal to be able to look over.
So.
Ooh. Speaking of journals, had I read my journal for the day? The Foolish Witch of Link Meadow?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't remember which one it was, but we did at the very beginning, way back when you guys first entered Starmantle, there was a spell that you had.
I feel like Chill Touch was early on. Spiritual Weapon was before.
Yeah, it wasn't spiritual
So
weapon.
it's either Life Transference or Wither and Bloom.
I think it was Wither and Bloom. That sounds familiar.
Wither and Bloom.
Is
Okay.
my
Cool,
thought.
cool.
If I remember right. We'll roll with that. It'll be fine. But yeah, Boko, as you're kind of still getting used to these new augmentations, and realizing the full capability that they have for you, Roland, you've kind of peeked through the door, and the hallway continues on. This laboratory extends. You see an observation deck full of windows looking out towards this planar expanse. And in the far distance, you can see that glistening Titan still floating, getting ever further, slowly and slowly. You can see below the glass ceiling of the chamber that you had just been in. And further down this hall, you see other open labs. You see other places where they've done something. One of these, it's like a lab, but it's like a lab mixed with a surgical chamber. And the workbench or the patient's bed here is about 3 times the size of the one that you saw in the last room. And this chamber is entirely dedicated to this one table.
Uh-oh. Is it approximately Titan-sized?
Yeah, about that.
Uh-oh.
Can I, as we're going through the library, grab the tools that I don't have in my kit? Just to increase the...
So you tell me what you want to grab, because there are literally hundreds of tools in here. And some of them look extremely alien. Like, they're not just metal. They almost seem organic, but they feel hefty.
Ooh.
Well, he's definitely taken those.
But again, there are tons of them.
Anything that's metalloid that I can identify as not like a terrestrial metal, like Bieshk or anything like that, I'd love to get. Or anything that I can add to my kit, my tinkering tools, to make it so that I can tinker upon the new components that I have in my own body.
Yeah, give me another investigation check. And Roland, as you had kind of finished exploring these chambers, one of these chambers, kind of in this glass box with these metal posts, you see hovering there this small hammer, and it has this head that looks like it's been pulled of meteorite, just this rock with pieces of blue in it, and there are just every so often there's this arc of blue lightning to the edge of this container that it's within. What's the flash of genius on that? Is that a 3, 4, 5?
Just the investigation. It's a 5 now.
5.
Because I'm
Okay.
level 8.
So yeah, with the 20 looking around, we'll say that you do get enough to certainly be able to operate on your new form. You find about 5 different items that you believe to be Bieshk, and you get +1 to all medicine checks.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so when you're using those tools specifically, you get a +1 to your medicine checks.
Perfect.
But yeah, the rest of you moving through this, Roland has kind of seen this small box with this hammer kind of floating in it, and there is one final door, and you see it also open, and it leads to this chamber, and there's these large metallic vats, and they seem to be kind of almost glowing with this gentle blue-green glow of whatever liquid is inside of them. Though most of the container is metal, you only see kind of this little bitty viewing window that kind of shows you the amount of how full each one is. And at the far end, there is just this platform that looks like it walks out into the demi-plane itself.
I'm very interested in that hammer. Can I inspect it closer, check for traps, check for basically see is it going to hurt me when I touch it?
Give me another investigation check here, looking over this thing. Actually, you know what? Give me an arcana check for this.
All right. Yeah.
This box clearly seems to be specially made to contain this item, where it seems to be difficult to store on its own, and this is kind of there for a bit of containment, but it doesn't seem to be trapped in any way. It does seem to have a basic lock on it, but you feel like as long as it's not a door, you probably got this.
Oh, I'm really going to regret not taking expertise in thieves' tools, aren't I?
Speaking of doors, just a quick reminder for our inspiration today. We have Rhea, Bungo, and Theschault, in case anyone needs rerolls.
How big is the box? Is it something that I could like grab, put in the bag of holding, check out later?
Is
it bigger than a bread box?
You could. It's like just like it is the full like opening width of a bag of holding. Like it barely fits in there. And it's pretty hefty, but sure, you could put away and deal with it later if you wanted.
I would love to.
Okay. What's Jasira doing in this space, Bree?
So, yeah.
Well, Bree was stuffing her face with pizza. So, fortunately, just finished. We good. And then, before I answer that, so did we then agree that the sweater is probably good to go?
Yes.
Nice. I think just kind of taking in those new, more metallic kind of visuals. She can't quite register, I guess, the significance of, like, we have his body in the bag, but now he's tangibly here again. But also at the same time, it doesn't overly perturb her. You know, she plays with souls all the time. So this is just kind of a new little plot twist in that story. So she just kind of reaches into her little cloak or things and pulls out the sweater. And just whenever she finds Boko, maybe with like a free moment, she just kind of outstretches both her arms, and it's like a nicely folded sweater, and she's like, "You don't look very comfy right now. This should help you next time." And she's gonna offer him the sweater.
Boko will reach out to take the sweater, but as he does so, he'll take it with one hand, and with the other hand, he'll take Jasira's hand. And he's going to say, "Come with me." And he's going to make for the bridge that leads out into the demi-plane.
Feet start moving.
And as they're walking, Boko will say, "Do you remember the village outside of the Moonlands where you buried the seed from the Tree of Life?"
I'll nod.
"I cannot figure it out, but both Zero and I were there. It is unclear whether he watched me kill everybody in the village or I watched him."
And they were doing this without Shakespeare. And they didn't make any big decisions with the deadline. It's weird. LPR. They didn't put stone on.
That's kind of heavy to think about.
Jasira, I think you are all in danger.
It's been a pretty good team. All they did was bring back Riley Smith, and I think that was our move on their part. Number 4, moving up.
Why?
The game last night against Greystorm, a really nice point.
Zero
Where they turn things back in their favor because
is under the impression that I have chosen all of you, all of your imperfections, all of your flaws,
it shouldn't be, but
and have given up his promise of becoming perfect.
But they maybe lack a little bit of focus against
And I do not think he will take that lying down.
It's right at that point that the two of you reach this kind of edge of the bridge, and you feel like there should be a gravity well pulling you by now. And then suddenly it kicks in all at once, and you two are shunted away. The rest of you watch as Jasira and Boko just disappear.
Whoops.
Well, they're dead.
Again.
Hey now, I never died. This is new.
I turn around, go back to the table, wait for him to respawn.
Someone take a quick save real quick.
Oh my gosh.
No, we didn't save all the way through that entire thing, so we have to go back to the beginning.
Oh,
Gotta rebeat
God.
it all.
We have to go back to the non-void.
No.
Honor mode.
You guys wait a few moments, just kind of stunned. And then Boko kind of steps back out and reappears and is like, "You guys have to check all of this out."
Uh-oh.
That seems accurate.
Finish stuffing the hammer into the bag. I was going to see what it did before leaving, but I am in touch things mode right now.
You guys move.
As you should be. I support this behavior.
You move along this bridge and find yourself pulled through something hidden even in this extraplanar space. The area here is dark. The walls almost give off this purple hue. There is this dark, almost difficult to see until your eyes fully adjust. And these walls all around are this black and purple, almost chitinous-like material. The halls are not straight, but angular and jagged. And there are no doors, but these weird open archways. And you swear that these walls are ever so slightly pulsing. You all slowly step through this space. And you start to see this glowing blue-green light. You see these metallic pipes moving through the ceiling structure that give off that same light glow that you had seen before. And stepping through this first archway, you see a massive piece of artifice. This interlocking rings that look like a clock nested on this vibrant background of greens and reds and blues and various radial and geometric shapes. And it is this complex, what almost looks to you as like a clockwork mechanism, but it's 20 feet in diameter, laying across the floor like this massive table. And somehow that's not the weirdest thing in this room, because over to the left, as far as you know, from the research that you all have done into illithids and mind flayers, there is an elder brain sitting in a brine pool.
Oh my gosh.
Does this laboratory, for lack of a better word, look anything like what we saw in Green Tarn?
Absolutely not. This
Okay.
feels more adjacent to, like, it is blue-green, but the stuff that you saw at Green Tarn was like a darker, almost like emerald shade. This is a much more lighter white-blue in the spectrum there. And it feels more closely associated with that synthetic crystal. And you can actually see some of these pipes kind of extended down and connected with this brine pool. However, you know, if this brain was conscious, it would already be weaving into your minds. And so you're not sure what is going on here, but you see a giant 10-foot diameter brain sitting in a pool of greenish, brackish liquid in this strange place.
Are these pipes made of traditional metal, or is this like all alien make?
These pipes seem to be like copper pipes almost. They seem to be more familiar, but they are the only thing that looks familiar in here. And they kind of had connected to where you came from.
Did this gravity well drop us off in the middle of somewhere, or does it look like this is a portal
It looked
for the sole purpose of entering here?
It looked like a doorway, like walking through a strange portal.
What the fuck?
Boko, you can't help but continue, bidden by another open archway. And further inside, you see another strange lab. But this one is indeed alien. Rather than the metallic tables before, these are stone tables, etched with deep geometric patterns that you can see are stained in crimson and dark colors. There is a alien device over on one side, but you can see all sorts of bloodstains. You can see these spikes nested into one section. You can see a bone saw laying across another piece. You can see cranks where they look like they turn and twist something on chains. You don't know how this thing works, but this is some sort of torture or surgical device or both. On another wall, you see this elaborate set of copper pipes into large glass cylinders almost. And there is this purple electricity. There are no pipes between them, but the electricity moves through the air as if it is carried by a pipe. And in one, you see horizontal, held aloft in the center of this capsule, this glass capsule, a deceased, almost mummified body that this energy is moving through. In another, you couldn't tell if you tried. It is either emaciated to beyond recognition or has been here for a long time. There are strange, large glass vials almost of solid blue and solid green neon colors that look like they are mixing together and moving into more of these copper pipes. And in the center of this room, there is a massive clockwork cauldron, it almost seems, with a large, slowly spinning arm moving on its own.
Does there appear to be anybody or any activity anywhere around us that puts us like on edge?
You look and listen and
The entire room?
yeah, while everything puts you on edge, you don't hear anyone. There is a faint mechanical hum coming from further on, but here you don't sense any presence, and you can't even focus much on this as you're captured by these tables. Across one of them, there is what looks to be like a stiletto knife and a scythe, and this just bag of red stained rags. On another, there is another brain, not quite the size of the giant one in the other room, but much larger than a human brain. Probably about 1.5 feet across. And 3 stacked skulls. One, a 3-foot long aviary skull. Another that seems to have horns coming out of it. And a third that looks humanoid, but again, is much larger. Still not large enough to encapsulate either of the large brains. This is just so weird and so transfixing that it is horrifying, but you can't seem to look away. And then on the final one, you see a piece of parchment that is etched with these strange black and blue markings.
Do the markings appear to be text?
If they are, they're certainly not one that you can read.
Do they look like the Qualith that I have that's embossed on the ingot?
Give me an investigation. Well, give me just a straight intelligence check here.
Nice.
These markings don't look at all similar. The Qualith is very rounded and fluid and flowing. This is angular. And yet you feel or sense patterns. Even though these are vastly different languages, there is some association here. And I'll say, with that intelligence check, somehow the script here, even in the vastly different language, is written in the same hand as the journals.
Boko's gonna look at Roland. He's going to say, I do not know how, but it appears that Zero is very well connected with these creatures. Or, and he looks over to the skulls and the brain. You said the brain is like 1.5 feet long?
Yeah, it's giant.
Does it look like it would fit in the skull of an illithid?
No, it is much too large. Illithid brains, at least for the standard illithid that you all are familiar with, are not too much larger than human brains.
What do they put in all the extra squid then?
It's cartilage.
All the antennas connecting to the mother brain.
Yeah, fair.
I'm gonna try to. Does this parchment look like it can easily come off?
It's just like a piece of parchment. You can pick it up. Yeah.
Throw that in the bag of holding.
Sure.
Oh yeah. So he looks over at the elder brain. Just like, that's not a good thing, right?
Roland, what kind of insights can you draw from this? Is it sedated?
I don't know if I want to find out. I will take a look and see if I can make any sense of the copper piping of the brine. If maybe there's like a little bit of it spilled on the floor that I can analyze without getting too close to the brain.
Can I assist him in this check?
Yeah.
Sure. Then Roland, with the assistance, you can make an Arcana check flat.
Ah! I'm gonna risk the guidance as well.
Something tells me we're not in the Mournlands anymore.
I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, Toto. Arcana, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wish I'd rolled just one more on the guidance, but...
Wait, what? I can't see it. What is it?
It's a 24.
I'll give you a flash of genius. Make it a 29.
Still wish even more so now that I'd rolled one higher on the guidance. Wait. Hang on. I need to check. Damn it, that's at 11th level.
Roland, as you're looking over this setup, you don't want to get close enough to the brain. And you have certainly never seen one of these in person. I mean, nobody's really studied them enough for it to be common knowledge on even how big they are. It's all legend from adventurers who had made it out alive. What you see, though, doesn't seem to be dead, but certainly isn't aware of its surroundings. Somehow something within this has been changed, and putting together what you've seen, very likely by some sort of surgical procedure, this brain has been altered. It's also exuding this brine, and it has to be at an accelerated rate, because you see that the pipes are not depositing things in, but are taking things away. And you watch these pipes kind of doing the math inside your head and see that there is some sort of refinement going on that brine, and that some sort of essence from it is being pulled out and refined into that bright neon green that you had seen before. You connect up that somehow this is being merged with that bluish white coming from the other lab, and that essence is being solidified into that bright neon blue. What they're doing with it, what the purpose is, you're not exactly sure, but you see more of these pipes kind of continuing on further into this chamber, wrapping up another hall. These two things together, the brine helps to manifest psionics. These mind flayers, they're all connected mentally somehow, and all of it is connected back to the elder brain. Adventurers, sages, wizards, this brine has to help amplify the natural psionics within an elder brain somehow, or stabilize them, balance them. But it's something to do with that connection. And this blue essence, if it's from this synthetic crystals, it's some sort of power source. And you think back to those giant crystals that you first saw at the base of the Starmantle Citadel that were connected up to mechanisms and copper pipes. They're trying to superpower this psionic energy somehow for some purpose.
So we're breaking out vials, yes, and taking samples of each stage of the of the refinement and mixing process.
You don't know how stable this is. If you could certainly try to. The brine is fairly easy to capture as it's in this massive open rectangular pool. But the other liquids passing through the pipes, the other kind of refined, bright neon colored essences, they're all completely captured. And you don't know if they're liquid, if they're gas, if they're magic. Like, there is literal lightning moving like it's in a pipe in one of these chambers. You don't know what this could do or how to best capture it. You're certainly open to try, but it's not as simple as pulling out a vial and kind of metering some fluid into it.
Roland, regardless of what we accomplish here right now, I think it is probably wise that we do not leave this place functional.
I agree. I was just looking through my inventory for a bomb.
Boko, you can't help but continue to follow those pipes. You and Roland have to find out where they're going, what this is doing. And it seems that there is one final chamber within this space. These copper pipes lead to some sort of network, and in this final room, you see a obsidian-like chamber. These stalactite-like formations stretch down to these large circular bases, each one illuminated with some mage lights, and each of them with these tubes of this bright neon green and blue connected into it. And at the base, wrapped in blankets and covered in some sort of magical shield, you see a handful of children.
Roland.
I'm coming. I have to warn you, though, I'm not good with kids.
Well, they don't seem to be conscious.
It's my favorite kind of kid.
We can't hear you, Noah.
David.
I said, I don't know if that makes it better.
And you said this is a large chamber. Are we on level with the children, or are they like recessed far down within the chamber?
No, this chamber is this like it. You haven't moved in elevation at all. These chambers, there's about a dozen of them, and they're about a foot tall, and these children kind of rest in these like pods with these tubes kind of connected into this mechanical artifice like sleeping chamber.
The children, do they appear to be siren? Do they appear to be...
Give me an investigation check.
Oh man. Nice.
Boko, you move up to kind of step and examine, and Yua watches he immediately kind of takes a few steps back, kind of aghast as not only are they clearly siren, but you recognize the face of each and every one of them.
Roland, these are the other 12 weapons. Bogo's going to pull out the arcane crystal from the bag of holding, the one that was crafted.
I'm counting the beds. How many
That's
beds
good.
are in
We
here?
can get
Roland,
all of them at once.
There's 13 beds in here.
I go looking for Boko.
Give me an investigation check, Roland.
I like that 29 with a 1 on the guidance.
You begin to look through this space as the magnitude of what this is really sets in. You see all of these pipes connected in. You see where this powerful psionics is being pumped into whatever mechanisms is here. You see this protective shield over each and every one of them. You see all of the children sleeping. They're alive, but not conscious. They're hooked into various types of mechanisms, but they don't seem to be harmful. They're monitoring. You see various statuses. You can tell one has to be a heartbeat. You're not sure what the others are. They're different levels. But you see each of them has a nameplate. And associated with it, there is something called Boko with each one of them. Boko Sifr, Boko Wahid, Boko Ithnan, Boko Thalatha, Boko Arba, Boko Kamsa. You move through each one and eventually find Kana Boko.
Boko, what does your name mean in Siren?
I do not know. It was a name given to me by Zero.
Do I, in all the languages that I speak, have...
Give me a
Does it ring a bell at all?
Give me a history check.
All right. Ugh.
It's strange because Kana in itself can mean many things, and even in Siren it has a couple different meanings. You're not an expert in kind of the way that Siren alters common, but with the context, and you kind of think back to that library that you found, there are certain levels of arcane numbering that Siren was known for. And this very much could be that.
The Kana could mean 13.
Roland, the psionics that they are harvesting here and pumping into these creatures, into us.
Superpowered psionics.
This has to be where they control all of us. This has to be where we are all connected. Which is why he was not afraid to lead us here. He knew that if we tried to destroy this place, all of us would die.
I want to look over Boko Kana's bed spot, see if I can find anything different about it in the readings that are displayed, in markings on it, in anything.
Sure. Give me another investigation check. You kind of looking and comparing between these children, they're not all the same age. They're not all the same skin tone. They're not all the same family. Some are older, some are younger. But they don't seem, from what you know of Boko's context of what they're claiming, they don't seem to have aged in some time.
Mm-hmm.
You're not sure how much time. Comparing the readouts between Boko's or Kana's and others, you see that there is a light flashing by the word Boko on some of them, including Kana. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of obvious differences.
Do any of these creatures resonate with the crystal that Boko is holding?
Make me a charisma saving throw.
Charisma saving throw. Yikes.
These orbs do not seem to have any natural resonance with what's here. There is refined arcane crystal that is being pumped into these chambers to make them work, but the connection is not with what is here. These crystals, if they have any resonance to a specific thing, it's more likely the mechanical construction.
Fortunately, that is floating through the astral plane, I believe. I wonder if we can find an exit, a window of some kind that shows us where this place is located.
As you wrap past out of this chamber, Boko, it brings you back to the starting hallway. You see the portal where you entered. You see the archway that leads to that strange clockwork mechanism in the Elder Brain and the Brine Pool. It's one small loop of these three chambers.
I do not know where they could have gone.
You know which one we fought out there?
Are there any markings on this heart that would indicate that it belonged to a specific number?
It doesn't appear so, but as you and Roland, having spent some time looking at these, trying to understand these markings, you can see that of these, next to the word Boko on one of them, there is a red dot, where some of the others have green dots. And next to one other, there is a pulsing yellow dot next to it.
So is Kana's pulsing green?
Kana's is just green. There are a handful
Just
that are
green,
green,
okay.
and there is one that is red and one that is pulsing yellow.
Superpowered psionics being pumped into them. This is where the consciousness is held. New bodies are created. The crystal you hold, the heart, provides the connection. And
I
then
think
the serum provides the power to connect to the body, and therefore the bodies are recyclable.
The crystal may be more of a battery, an arcane battery.
Fair.
I think these appear more connected to the mechanical form. The one with the yellow. If I had to make a guess, that would be the Titan we nearly killed. But we failed to do so before it was sucked out into the sea, where it will remain. And so, there are 10 more. I think it is time to return. Although, I would like to make one last stop in the Mournlands before we leave.
You said these are weapons.
Yes.
In evil hands.
Yes.
How do we move on knowing that we have left weapons in evil hands?
They're all behind like a large energy shield, right?
The bodies themselves have some sort of magical protection over them, yes.
Roland, I cannot pretend to understand what is going on here. But I do not think Zero would lead us here if it were that easy.
It does seem kind of convenient, and I don't think I'd be willing to sacrifice a friend to not have to face an unknown enemy later.
Oh, we know which one is him.
All right. Out of curiosity, Boko, are all of them as capable as you are?
I do not know. They are older iterations of Zero's goal for attaining perfection. Logic would dictate that they may be dated in their abilities, but Zero spoke of something. A evolution, a transcendence of some kind. He offered it to me, but I chose instead to return to all of your sides. I'm afraid that either the choice was not offered to them, or they had all willingly accepted it.
Do you know what it is that set you apart? Some kind of a iterative improvement between you and, well, I would assume the one that came before you, the 12th one?
I think what set me apart was Zero himself. As he became more and more perfect, his human flaws became more and more refined. And in his arrogance, he was not prepared for this insolence.
So lying more with the creator than with the creation, then?
That is what I believe.
I want to get the hammer out of the bag.
Ooh.
Make like comparisons between the energy around it and the energy shields around the chambers.
You kind of pull out the big glass box and kind of hold it. That hammer still kind of floats in there every so often, giving off the spark of lightning to the edge. You see that blue kind of nestled into the stone, and that matches with the blue of the star shard and the arcane crystal that Boko holds. It seems to be slightly different than the energy that is coming over, though that energy is still a bluish hue. You think that likely many of the things here seem to have been experimented on or refined from whatever this star metal was. At this point, Greystorm, who's been kind of silently watching and pulling all this imagery in, kind of steps forward. We have what I was searching for. Is this what you are searching for, Boko?
No. This has opened my eyes. Unfortunately, and foolishly, I had previously believed they were open before. Such is not the case.
The world has many things to teach us. Some of these lessons are not without pain. We plan on our return to inquire more from the 12 and for them to send acolytes and adventurers and studiers to come back to these places. Perhaps they can come and examine and see what is going on here in safety and numbers and a wisdom and intelligence from the greatest minds across the nation.
In the off chance this place vanishes from existence as soon as we leave, I think we should prepare a diagram so that the scholars may have something to work with before making the journey.
He nods and kind of reaches into his pack and pulls out some parchment and begins to work on replicating as many of these details as he can.
Roland, if you would, Boko will hand him some parchment. For the arcane matters, the Theschault. For the mechanical.
Right.
Thank you.
Are you sure you want this studied? Perpetuated? Knowledge does not sit idle.
That it doesn't.
Roland, it is too late to close my eyes. I have been a weapon for longer than I am even aware. I have spilled blood, even though it was not my will. It was my hand. And penance must be paid.
I certainly hope there's a flaw somewhere in here. Do you realize how much harder it's going to be to change the future when this is sitting right here? I'm just saying, the 12 being able to see this is really going to, well, it may end up setting them on a path that will make things very, very interesting.
The more we dig into this place, the more I come to realize that there is a reason that Sire fell.
Yes. Unfortunately, I do not think any actions that we take are going to have the magnitude of either causing this to move further or derailing it. I think we were simply fortunate enough to stumble upon it. And now we must cast the curtains open on these weapons, on the psionics, and on the clean rod itself. It is not a coincidence.
The bottle is unstoppered, yes, but... And he'll look at the one with flashing yellow. We're not going to change the world, but... What if we could set this one free? Break
Boko
the
nods.
wheel. Break the cycle. End the torment.
First, let us see what happens. And he gestures towards the one whose light is red. Does the figure within still look like it's alive?
It does.
Roland. We cannot. These are their human forms. These are not the weapons.
Are they not?
No. There has to be something left over. This must be the humanity behind them. If these are completely intertwined with the weapons they represent, then it means there is no salvation. And if you would take one, you must take all 13.
I am aware.
I am going to continue working on the schematics. I will leave you to your decision.
As a handful of you set up at the doorways, trying to watch and keep an eye out, the others begin to scrawl and mark down the various orientations, displays, diagrams of this alien space. And Roland, you kind of sit standing next to the pod marked Boko, marked Kana. What are you doing?
Well, I will help with the schematics and such, but as I'm taking down detailed schematics of the pods themselves, I'm trying to figure out what's carried in each line, where the power source is for the shield, not necessarily, I know I'm not going to be able to figure out how the anti-aging is done, but what its source is.
Mm-hmm.
Best case scenario, I would like to find a way to wake them up and let them live an actual life.
I'll say in this singular moment, go ahead and make me just a straight intelligence check.
Okay. Guidance?
Sure.
Okay. That checks.
Would you mind if I used my inspiration here? Because Theschault, would really like to find some kind of solution where we don't have to take out Boko. Not the one that we know. Maybe there's a way. And so far, the two people that I would be able to trust with that are probably Boko and Roland.
Theschault, as you come up and are talking with Roland, as the two of you are marking these down, kind of sharing ideas back and forth on what options might be in hushed whispers, why don't you go ahead and make me a straight intelligence check as well?
All right.
This will count essentially as advantage.
That'll work. $13.
When looking at these mechanisms, it makes you feel initially very out of your own depth. It's someone from the Renaissance discovering a 2025 sports car. The systems here are in an entirely different level than what you are aware of. The pieces, even though there are some mechanics and some arcana, there is also this bioorganic component to it as well that is alien and unnatural. It's going to take you some time of looking over these schematics, of trying to research and study, of testing out what you can on these various materials, or on looking into psionics and the illithid, on these arcane crystals and the stars which they came from. But it's a project that you can begin on. What you know today is that if you were going to try anything to wake them up or disrupt them, it would most likely end their lives. But there might be a solution under further study once you understand more about how these things work.
I'll turn to Roland. There might be a way. Nothing that I understand or would be able to do now. And more than likely, any hasty action would probably cut short all of their lives. Including, of course, Kana, as we know him. But with you and I, combined with him, some other resource. Roland, you're one of the smartest people I've met. We can figure this out. I hope we'll get the chance to come back and test the theory.
We won't.
So what do you think we should do then?
Is there anyone who you trust with this knowledge, with this ability, with this weapon?
As I would kind of start thinking through, because the 12 were the ones that they heard my research, right? I mean, those were the ones I presented to at the end.
The 12...
Well,
so the 12 are like the arcane college, and they are not associated with any nationality, even though they reside within the capital of Karnath.
That's right, there's some overlap, but it wasn't... Yeah, okay.
The people that saw your research were more associated with the Academy of Reckonmark, which is the university associated directly with the Karnathi military.
But do they have any connection to maybe one of the 12 then?
There are probably political connections and relationships, but the 12 historically has acted as an independent and non-aligned and certainly non-military institution. But that doesn't mean that they're good, necessarily.
If Greystorm is going to take this directly to the 12, more than likely this will result in, hopefully, well, they claim neutrality at least. I can't imagine anything extreme from there. But I do have... Well, there's really only, I suppose, so much that I can hope from them. Or from anyone, really. There's members of the Academy Board. People that I know. Yes, they're allied to Karnath, but then aren't we all in some way? It's possible they may be able to help us out. Fill in a gap that somehow you, nor I, nor Boko can quite fill with our current knowledge. Maybe the missing piece. Or something.
Yes, maybe they could figure out how to do this to others.
That's the trade-off, right? The knowledge of this, especially in the hands of the Academy. I'm trying to present them with an alternative, and well, this presents a possibility that I'm about to hand them the condemnation of my own research in favor of something much more effective, for lack of a more elegant term in the moment.
And Theschault, you would know on the Academy board who reviewed your research, who you got a dismissal from, there are some that you trust more than others.
Mm-hmm.
The board member Prokhor Wyrick, he's a noble man, an honorable man. He was one of your instructors. He was a knight before that. He's old now, having been through the last war as a soldier, as a young man. If there was a spot to go to on the Academy board, he's where you would start.
Right.
Personally.
Well, then, between him and Radoslav, I feel that they at least have some degree of honor. So maybe. But I suppose that's, well, probably my best reach. I'm not going to, well, I won't bring it to them without us consulting and deciding on that. And we've got time. It's not like we're able to just walk into the door next door. That raise further questions, I suppose. Be that as it may, though.
And is maybe enough for you?
I'm trying to think of any way that anything less than this maybe gives us anything.
I'm talking about burying this forever, so that the world never sees it again.
Do they have to die for it? Or perhaps can we just... Oh, the one remaining member we'd keep would be Kana. Unless you're suggesting that this is the end for all of them. Which...
You heard what he said.
Yes. Oh.
I look into these beds. And I can see... I can see my little brother lying in there, turned into a weapon, because someone decided that they wanted the power that it would bring. And decided that my people were expendable.
You're certainly the largest stakeholder in this whole thing here. After all, my optimism hasn't exactly panned out for us in some of these spots. I'd like nothing more than a bona fide good solution. But it seems, and I'm sure you know more from experience, that those are very few and far between, and tend to fall mostly in academic settings versus the actual field. I will respect whichever choice you decide to make, Roland.
Jasira, where are you at in this time?
Probably leaving the intellectual schematic discussion and sketches to the intellectuals, but she's looking extremely grim. She has not done anything yet, and she likely won't, but anytime there is a suggestion of killing all or terminating all, her fists begin to clench.
And it's not so much open discussion. These are hushed, whispered conversations, but the rumors of what this is, of what it could mean, the rumors of the decisions that could be made are certainly making their way around.
Mm-hmm. She's likely wandering around, kind of observing, keeping watch. So at the passive of 16, if she gets close enough, she might hear a little bit of a thing or two, but...
Jasira, you can't help but find yourself wandering between all of these. You see a young girl with tan skin, long brownish hair, and these just deep swollen circles under her eyes as she sleeps. You see another boy, much darker in complexion, very young, maybe 3 or 4 years old, and yet you know that they're not actually that old, but their bodies are here, and you're not sure where on that scale their minds lie. Eventually you can't help but be pulled towards the one that you know is your friend somehow, but it still doesn't fully make sense how you're looking at that the Boko that you know is somehow connected to this dark-skinned young boy. He looks 11, maybe? And yet the resemblance is remarkable and strange. Why would someone who's making weapons care about replicating their appearance or estimating what that appearance would look like when it's grown? This whole space, it just feels weird and strange, and you're uncomfortable, but you know that you have a friend and that you value his life and existence, and you start to just pick up on the edge, not details, but you hear Theschault and Roland whispering. You can feel the tension as you look at the two of them.
I think she would probably gravitate more towards the child of Boko and just kind of hover in that area. As much as it sometimes pains her to reflect. She kind of is drawing a lot of parallels to her culture and how children this little could die simply because it's their time for the absorbance. And in some regard, it's a little desensitizing. To her, the solution is simple. But she will be not quite mama bearing it up, but very defensive of Boko's little body.
And as you all sit in this tension, it's probably been an hour or two before Greystorm kind of speaks up. I'm just about finished, I think, capturing as best I can. Where are you all at?
Nearly finished.
For Roland, Theschault, Jasira, Boko, if there's any action to be had in this space, it has to be now.
I have to do something. This could destroy the world as we know it. This could end any possibility of a world free from this sickness. I've spent a great deal of study on a variety of topics. One of the fascinating ones is religion, and how they handle the notion of death. And as he's saying this, he's slowly getting through the lock on the box to the hammer. Some religions think of death as a farmer with a scythe with which he gathers souls into a sheaf and brings them home. For others, it's an ascendance into the sky. Takes hold of the hammer and walks up to the... He'll start with starts walking towards the one with the red light.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been partial to the vision of death as a river. The living on one bank, the not on the other. At some point we all cross. And I found that it isn't really up to me to judge who deserves to be on one side or the other. I'm just the Boatman, and he smashes it down into the energy shield.
There's this long moment as the world seems to slow down. And Theschault and Jasira, you feel what's happening before you even see it. As Roland raises up his hand with this hammer in tow and brings it down heavy on this arcane shield, there is a palpable ripple through the chamber. As the shield over, you can see laces in the magic start to crack. He brings it up again and slams it down, cracks spiderweb and cross over each other as they connect and break into smaller pieces. With a third heavy swing, there is a gasp of air as the arcane energy dissipates into small particles of light. As this is moving slowly, attention from around the room is all looking at Roland, all of the eyes watching. Everyone hangs on a breath, unsure of if they should do something or not. And Roland, as you break through the shield, you see as immediately monitors begin to go off, lights start to flash on the pod. You look down at this child, this young girl, maybe 8 or 9 years old. Darker complexion, brown hair cut very short to her head. She doesn't look healthy, but she doesn't look dying. She's stabilized here. With you standing above her in this moment, what do you do?
I'm gonna look for wherever the tube is, pumping stuff in and disconnect it. I don't want this perpetuated. I don't want the cycle to continue. I want them free of the psionic bullshit flowing out of a illithid god.
Are you trained in any tinker's tools or anything like that, Roland?
Yes, I think so. Let me check. I have tinker's tools. I'm not trained in them. I have trained in thieves' tools. And there's the gunsmithing that we'd talked about.
I'll do it. I said I would respect your decision. I'll do it. Just plainly where?
I'll assist Theschault.
Theschault steps forward and begins to look over the mechanisms attached to this child. Theschault, make me a Tinker's Tools check at disadvantage.
With the assist?
With the assist.
Wow.
And I'll add guidance to it.
Okay.
Is there not a checkbox for guidance? I guess not. I'll just we'll just add a D4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Theschault, did you spend that inspiration earlier?
I did, yes. So that we could at least have an idea of what to do.
Theschault, as you move forward in this moment, you know the outcome. You knew the outcome when you studied it. Any type of disruption today, it's going to end in one way, but you trust Roland, and you see this space. You reach in and disconnect these different wires. You pull out an IV. You maneuver the pipes away from the body of the child. And you hadn't noticed it, but there was almost this palpable glow across the body. You see as more lights start to flash, beeping starts to echo. It all just kind of blends out. Theschault, I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
I'm also, just as a last-ditch effort, I'll cast Spare the Dying.
Ooh.
To try and have some ability to stabilize.
Roland, as you see this light around this body starting to fade, you're trying all you can to hold on, to keep this body here, but this body is well beyond its years, and who knows what else has gone on with it still. You're trying to push in a cantrip, and this needs more.
Yeah.
Do you try and give it more?
I'll attempt a healing word to see if it works, but that is all I have. And it does not do 17 damage.
Oh no!
Let me go uncheck that shit.
Roland, can you please give me a medicine or arcana check?
Well, I am highly trained in arcana, so I will do that. But in the instant of casting another spell, I don't imagine I would have guidance.
And Roland, can you make me a Constitution saving throw? As you both stand over this body, Roland, you are doing all that you can to put what magical energy, the limited resources that you have, into this body to try and just keep it stable. And you watch that light, that glow over the body continue to dim and fade. And your heart sinks for a moment. And you hear the girl start to cough, start to breathe. She's weak and not conscious. The light is gone. And who knows what that means for her, but in this moment, she is barely hanging on to life.
Who else can heal? Because I can only save 2 others.
I can do something. Hold on. I'm just gonna quickly cast Cure Wounds if I can.
On the same girl?
And roll and ask for it. I'm not gonna think about it.
I'm asking for the other 12. Because I can only save 2.
Okay, so I guess just in the moment, just okay.
Before speaking up, Austin, have we had a short rest, or at least for Jasira's case, since she hasn't physically done much?
Yeah, you guys have had a couple hours.
Okay.
You can take a short rest if that would bring anything back for you.
Then Jasira just walks forward. I can heal as necessary.
Okay. I've got 2. Theschault, what can you do?
I can take 1. Well, no. I can take a second one, but I'll be completely tapped out of Hydro, which is fine.
I can.
You can? Good. Good. We have a chance.
The rush should be okay.
How many do you need?
As many as you can give me.
I have 11 band-aids left.
We should be okay. Let's keep moving.
Then let's go. And I'll go to the one flashing yellow and slam the hammer down.
I actually have I have healing word, but I didn't know that it worked as magic, so I just had a bag of band-aids that cast healing word.
Well, we're going. Start applying band-aids.
Yeah.
Get ready to put some band-aids.
I'll save mine for the last
I
one.
will use all of my spell slots. I have 11 spell slots. I will save everybody.
Boko, as the call goes out, the movements begin going through. Is there anything that you're doing in this time?
Boko is probably a pod ahead of them. Just looking into the face of each of these people. Going down the line until he gets to himself. And he'll probably sit there for a while staring at this figure. That's it for now.
Moving through, you all had started on Saba. Moving over to Kamsa, who's this flashing yellow. Theschault, I need another Tinker's Tools check here.
All right. Disadvantage?
Yes, another one at disadvantage. And I assume with the guidance. From Roland.
Yep.
All right.
Every time.
It's 12. A little better.
It is indeed a little better.
Well, then now,
By the time, if we keep this pattern going, by the time we get to Boko, you'll have rolled a 14.
You're right.
And Roland, give me another Arcana or Medicine check. And with the assistance of Jasira and Rennie, you all are able to stabilize this boy who looks like he's just about to reach his teenage years. You move to the next one in between those two. Sita. Another girl, her hair almost a dirty blonde. She's a little bit older than both of these two. Maybe 14 or 15 years old. Theschault, go ahead and give me another Tinker's Tools at advantage. Or at disadvantage. Disadvantage.
Damn it.
Sorry.
3.
And another Arcana from you, Roland. This one, there's no marker next to the word Boko here. The two of you work and maneuver. But you feel that the stress, strain, whatever's happening here, it's not enough to keep her in this world. And you watch as with that glow pulls up out of the body, and you feel that soul disconnect from this space. And the breathing stops.
I grab the hammer.
We continue.
Theschault, give me another Tinker's Tools disadvantage.
4.
The next one, Arba'a. A young boy, similar in appearance to Boko. Through the two of you and through the healing, you're able to stabilize him. You move to the next. Give me another set.
5. Shit.
You're moving up the chain. Delanta. Next, another young girl, maybe 7 years old. And Theschault, as you're maneuvering with the tools, with the mechanics, something goes wrong and you don't get them all disconnected in the right order. Something blares out, all of the signals go red, her body shakes violently, and then goes still.
That's my fault. Next one.
Make the checks.
6.
Can I encouraging words when he fails?
That, remind me what that does again, Joe?
After an ally fails an ability check, you can give them a bonus to their next check equal to my charisma modifier.
Yep. So what is that equal to?
I've got a 4 right now.
So this will be a 14 then instead of a 10?
Yep. I'm rolling, you can make your check. Again, working together, you're doing just enough. You're not saving all of them, but this is one that stabilizes. Ethnan, an older boy, maybe 17 years old. Moving up to the first pod in the row. Go ahead and make the checks.
7.
The two of you work, and
Shit!
Some-
Can I also give you bardic inspiration and stuff like that? Can I sing the Band-Aid song?
sure.
I'm stuck on Band-Aid and Band-Aid's stuck on me.
I could certainly use it.
How
yeah,
many?
I think I've got 4 of those.
4? And you're giving them
Yeah.
to Theschault?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you stabilize Wahid, you move back to where you had left Lamania. Another girl about 10 years old, deep black hair. Go ahead and make the checks.
8.
Would you like to roll the bardic inspiration?
Yes. Was it a D8?
Yep. And yeah, when you consume it, I'll give you more kind of thing.
Okay, that's fine.
That will just
Save one
we'll
for
roll
Boko.
until they're gone.
Save one for Kana.
I plan to.
As you move through and stabilize another, you make it to Tisa. This one, a very young girl, maybe 6 or 7 years old. Short shoulder-length hair. Deep, deep circles around her eyes. Go ahead and make the check.
9.
Are you burning another bardic inspiration?
Yes.
You are just able to make it through and stabilize this one. She's coughing heavily and convulses slightly, but the breath is still there. You make it to another older boy, about 14 years old, Ashara. His hair is bald, but he's got a lighter complexion than many of the others, and a hardness to his face. Go ahead and make the checks.
10.
Are you using a bardic inspiration?
No.
You work through disabling the mechanics, trying to stabilize the body. The breathing is shaky, but steadies out. But as soon as Jasira comes to put her hands on, the body has gone cold. He's passed on. You move on to the next. Ahad.
11.
Another older boy with an olive complexion, short hair. Are you rolling the bardic inspiration?
No.
I've got 4 uses of it.
I have 2 left. I've burned 2 of them.
Okay.
And if we get through the next one without burning another, then I could use one.
As you go to look over Ahad, you swear that his eyes for a moment blink open as the body rolls, convulses, and slows. The breath breathes out and then back in as he's stabilized. You're one away from Kana. Munsian, go ahead and make the checks.
12.
This boy is about 11 years old. Longer hair, brown and curly, rounded features in his face. Are you using the bardic inspiration?
No.
Theschault, as you move through this one, the numbers in your head, we can make it. We're almost there. You go to give the signal to Roland, and somewhere there was a mix-up. Something goes wrong, and you see the eyes shoot open, bloodshot. The pupils pulse. The body relaxes. The breathing returns. You continue fixing, adjusting whatever you need to do. But by the time Rennie comes over, the breathing has stopped and he's passed.
Rennie, inspire both of us.
Okay.
We need it for this.
All right. I'm giving you guys both inspiration. We are singing a song at full blast.
I wish I could.
It's every little thing is going to be all right. Let's go.
Is this number 13?
This is number
Yes.
13. Boko, you
There
stand
are-
as these two, or as the group approaches in front of where you believe you lie.
There are tears streaming out of Roland's one good eye.
Boko looks at Roland. He says, Roland, clean your tears. You will need to see clearly for what comes next. Boko is still interposing himself between the capsule and everybody else. He says, I have a request to make. Perhaps a final request.
Make it.
If I am to have the best chance of surviving this, with or without this person, I will need something else. Boko's gonna pull out the star shard. Implant this in my chest.
What?
If my theory is correct, this serves as some kind of external battery. Perhaps, if it is on board, my husk may live on for some time longer, even if you are to fail. Do this for me, and I will help you destroy the final part.
Roland.
They've already done eye surgery. How much harder could this be?
Right.
Had I not witnessed it with my own eyes, I would not have asked.
Done. Of course.
Boko's gonna find one of the tables to lay on.
You all take some time to prepare this. Who's attempting to make the change?
Roland is first. Theschault is first assist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you using any bardic inspiration on this, or are you saving it for...
I mean, I will see. I can decide after I roll, yes?
Bardic inspiration has to be cast before the roll, and then you can decide... Well,
I have it already for 10 minutes. Or...
I thought
Is
it was
it-
just before he knows
is
the
it-
results of it.
so is it 10
Yeah.
minutes or is it 1 minute?
It's at least 10.
If it's 10 minutes, then I'll say yes, that you can have it cast on you and you can make the call after the roll. But if it's 1
It's a-
minute,
Yeah.
it'd be too fast of a switch.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I believe
Once
it's
within
at
the
least
next
10.
10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfecto.
So you and the Schultz will get it basically right before you go into this and kind of do these things back to back.
Okay. I will cast guidance on myself.
While they're
And-
preparing, Boko is going to spend 10 minutes creating a familiar.
Okay, so 10 minutes before the bardic inspiration is cast.
Yeah, while you guys are preparing the actual field, not before the surgery starts.
Okay.
All right.
So then, Roland, I need you to make me either an Arcana or a Medicine check.
Open heart surgery would normally be medicine, but since he's magical, I'll go with Arcana.
Yeah.
And I'm awake during this, right?
Unless you have some way of not being.
Yeah. So
What?
Jasira can make you sleepy.
wait before you roll.
Can you?
As
I can make you sleepy. Yeah, I have the
as you
sleepy
are,
stand.
The what?
Roland, as you're setting up,
Hold on. I have this.
Oh.
I can make him sleepy because this is what we did on the eye surgery. I made him very sleepy. And I have a bag of sand that helps me do it. So
I want to be awake for
Sand.
this.
I have sand.
You want to be awake?
I have to be awake for this. As you're
I'm just-
setting up Roland, when you're not looking, Boku's gonna cut you with a knife.
Oh.
Sweet.
Mother
And-
trucker.
I don't know if anybody's ever seen it before,
You could have just asked.
but Boko is gonna give Roland his chimera
Wow.
through that cut.
Fuck.
And is going to lend you aberrant assistance, giving you advantage on any one skill selected during the merge.
Which I guess would be Arcana, right?
Yep.
Roland, you feel this sharp pain and kind of turn around, and it's like a massage up your arm as you feel something attach. And by the time you've looked, there's just like this extra layer of your own skin. The cut not even visible.
And a little bit of a better understanding of Boko's anatomy.
These pieces of what Boko has gleaned over the last hours, days, of these bits of this process that he's seen occur start to merge into your mind.
Thank you.
You can thank me by not killing me. Also, Roland, if you do, it is not me you have to be afraid of. He looks over at Jasira.
Well.
Roland,
If I do, it's not her I'll have to be afraid of either.
Roland, go ahead and give me that Arcana check at advantage with guidance, and if you want it, the Bardic Inspiration.
Yep, I'll roll the d8.
All right.
Can't see the
Oh no.
numbers in chat.
It's an
Thank
18.
goodness.
Oh.
All 7.
25.
Bless Rennie and his accordion.
Boko wanted to be awake so he could help in his own surgery.
Classic Boko.
Oh
Which
my
brings
god.
it to a 30.
Something like this is difficult under good circumstances by knowledgeable individuals. A open heart surgery on an alien with no medical school training takes a bit of a miracle. Roland, it's brutal. You didn't think that opening up metal could feel so much like opening up a body, but it does. And Boko, you feel the pain of your heart being pulled out and the gasp, the tensing of the arms as they lock down onto the table. Roland, it almost makes you stop right then and there. And your heart lurches as you start to see the glow in the body dim, the same as it did for so many of those children. The life, this life hanging in this balance. Boko, as your eyes go dark once more, you feel the souls around you start to swirl and spin. You feel in this communion with the spirits. The edge of death in a way that you never have. Roll me a D100.
I have no idea what that means.
Even
It was a very Solaire D100 roll.
God!
The AED, y'all. The AED. The defibrillator. Words are hard. Goodness gracious.
In this moment, the spirits swirling by you, you see a familiar figure. An older gentleman bent from years, wrapped in white robes. Kogi the priest steps from the shadows.
Your time is not quite ready, child. But perhaps mine is. Will you take me to her?
Boko, in this moment, you can take the energy, the power from this moment to use Kogi to bind his soul to this space and make it stronger. Or you can bring him on beyond the veil with you, losing that option forever.
When he asks me, he says, "Can you bring me to her?"
You talking about the matriarch?
You would imagine so. You remember distinctly that veil of space, the ley lines of energy, and that light-like being. And you don't know if that is the matriarch for everyone, or if that's just how she appears to you, but that entity seems to be who they're addressing.
Boko sits here in this moment with Kogi across from him. If you go to her, can I follow? Or is your journey to keep me here?
We all have our own journeys, child. Mine is only intersecting with yours. It does not control the path.
It has been perhaps my entire life that choices have been made for me. I am not one for selfishness. Or I was not one. But I would like to stay, if only for a bit longer.
I do not know if that is either of our decisions, but perhaps I can put in a good word.
Something I have learned in my travels. The one we are going to see. At one time, I called her mother. And Boko will reach out a hand.
Kogi takes it, and despite the frailty in the spiritual nature, you feel a tangible, strong presence. He looks over at you.
There are many ways that we see her light. Many who call her by different names. But it is a fate, a beauty, a guidance from where we reside here into the realms of the Keeper beyond. I think that they all have a way of speaking through us, knowing when we are needed and when our time is done. The two of you begin to pass through the shadows, these motes of light traveling up into the lattice of magic and life. Roland, Jasira, Theschault, you see the last of the light in the body go dim. The body goes inert. You work, and it takes some time as you position this star shard where the arcane crystal was. As it clicks into place, you maneuver through this last bit of connections, this artifice to imbue the body with life, and it sits there, inert, unmoving, dead. And then there is this split of light from within the star shard. This moment of radiant splendor as you see these crisscrossing constellations of light within the gemstone. This beauty far beyond what was ever present in the crystal. You sense massive density and immensity in this object far beyond just the crystal that you had held in your hands. It reflects the stars and space beyond. Not just the light of the stars, not just the darkness around them, but the connection that holds it all together, working and spinning in balance. The shard alights with this soft blue glow, and you see as power extends back into the frame. But the body still lies comatose. You're not sure how long to wait, but you know that you're on a timer. That you have to move to the other body and address it before this benefit wears off. You've done the best you can with the first half. It's time for the second.
I'm going to pull Boko over and lay him down next to the other pod. Grab the hammer.
You all had seen the light flash yellow. And when the body had gone inert, it had turned to red, which is where it stands now. You raise the hammer, Roland, and
My hand is shaking and it just stands there.
Roland? Are you going to...
I can't.
We have
Not
to.
this one.
But I know that we didn't get them all, but we can do this, Roland. Together.
I'm just the boatman. I just drop the hammer down.
13?
The shield.
Roland, you break through the shield, and these moments that last and feel like hours. Theschault, your hands begin to move. Though they had shook before, now you are focused in this moment of purpose. Go ahead and both of you make the checks.
Is mine still at disadvantage?
It is, same as the others.
All right.
But you have guidance. Oh, bless
Oh my
you.
god.
Alrighty. Okay.
And you have
Can't see
the
the numbers.
inspiration, right?
Through each and every
I used mine. Yep.
one of these procedures, removing the tools removing the connections has been important, but finding a way to stabilize the body with medicine or arcana has been critical. You all watch with bated breath as this procedure goes on.
Can I... Sorry to
Go
throw it
ahead.
in right before you just divulge the verdict here, but would I also, just as I unhook everything, I would like to throw everything I have left into Cure Wounds. I have a level 2 and a level 1 slot.
Go ahead and roll those for me.
And I'm casting Wither and Bloom. And I'm going to voluntarily hit myself with the damage and be able to hit both the Warforged body and the child with the healing at the same time.
These moments where you carry life and death in your hands, it changes you. There had been so much time where, Roland, you had been controlling this. And as you had watched this light start to fade, you threw all the last bits of magic that you had into healing and stabilizing this boy. Theschault, you did all that you could to keep it intact. It wouldn't have been enough. But somehow, some way, Theschault, these 13 times is what it took for you to understand and master the way to disconnect these in a way that does not cause damage to the body and require any healing. And though the light fades, the boy is alive. And that's where we're going to go ahead and wrap up this session tonight. Thank you so much for joining us for this hell of a conclusion to the Mournland arc. We will be back in Carlacton next session and see how all of this played out.
We'll see you then.